This is the Mop Up Men podcast. My name's Justin Trinity. Along with me is co-host Colin Trinity. He's filling in for the legendary Kenny Baseball. This is his debut on the Mop Up Men podcast. And this podcast is sponsored by no one because nobody sponsors this podcast yet. But if you're listening and you sell things, we can talk it up on our podcast because that's what podcasts are for now. And then the way we'll do it is we'll start out our podcast with like 3 minutes of ads nobody wants to hear before we get into any content. Wouldn't that be so cool? Everyone would want to listen to that, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, let's kick this off. Let's talk about the state of Major League Baseball in 2021. We can talk rule changes. We can talk players that you're liking. You can talk teams you're liking. Just kind of anything. It's going to be broad to start out. Just anything that you're like, it's June 13th, and this is what I'm really excited about. This is what I hate. This is what I, think could be changed. Anything like that. So we'll kick it off to you, Colin. What's number one?
Let me just introduce myself. I'm Colin. I'm a senior at App State University, and I'm Justin's cousin. And I'm a diehard Nationals fan. So this season hasn't really gone, perfect for us so far, but I'm enjoying baseball. It's cool watching the fans back in the stands, and what some of these guys are doing, some of these young guys are doing, blows my mind right now. Vladdy, crazy. So
Vlad Jr. I thought he was going to be terrible.
He didn't look amazing when he came up. He was hitting for like average and stuff, but he wasn't elevating. He wasn't really getting many homers. And then this year,
he was also like 400 pounds when he came up. Like he was so out of shape when he first came up. I was like, this guy's going to be the biggest bust ever. And then he lost like 50 pounds before this season. And he's actually really good now. Okay.
Well, my only thing that I will say is like, that stadium is a joke. Like,
yeah, that stadium's a bandbox. And
I saw Josh Bell hit an Oppo homer that he got jammed on, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, Josh Bell is like your best player, I think, on the Nationals.
Oh, God,
Josh Bell, greatest offseason pickup of all time. It's a steal that they got him from the Pirates. He is like, his swing reminds me of Ken Griffey Jr. And Robinson Cano. He just has that. He's got that sweet left-handed swing from the right side. He looks like A-Rod.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Josh Bell? Is it time to pull the plug on him?
Okay, here's the thing about Josh Bell is that, like, in my opinion, yes, it's time to pull the plug. But like realistically, yes, it's time to pull the plug.
Your opinion is in accord with rational thought.
Yes,
as far as you're concerned.
From the right side of the plate, it's the ugliest swing I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's had some like homers, and I get it, but like he's batting
like
what,
211, something like that.
214. Yeah. Ryan Zimmerman is coming off the bench, and it's like Ryan Zimmerman's like, yeah, I want a pinch hit, and it's like, no, dude, like, can you just replace Josh Bell, and we'll just enjoy like your great year when you start. And
Josh Bell is the kind of, like, he plays like the kind of guy who the Nationals just like picked some guy out of the stands. We're like, he looks athletic, let's give him a bat. His swing is so ugly. Like, he can't hit, and he looks like he can't hit.
He just strikes out so much, and it's just like grounds into double plays. I know the double play the other night with Robles wasn't his fault, but he did hit into a double play. Yeah. I just don't understand what Mike Rizzo was thinking when he was like, let's get this guy who's coming off his career worst year. And
it was a buy low scenario. He hasn't been the same player since the first half of 2019. Like, I get it. I get what they were trying to do. It was a lightning, maybe you can strike lightning in a bottle with Josh Bell and he turns into the player he was a couple years ago. Yeah. But at this point, like, the guy can't hit. Like, you got to cut him loose.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you a question.
All right.
How old do you think Ryan Zimmerman is?
I actually know this. I'm pretty sure.
I know. Yeah.
I'm
I
pretty
just
sure
looked it up.
he's 36.
He's 36 years old.
Yeah.
I would have thought he was like 43.
I know. Well, he came into the league like super young.
He got drafted in 05 and actually made his debut
He
that year.
made his debut right after he got drafted.
Yeah. So he's actually been around for, this is like his 17th season in the big leagues. So he's been around a long time, but like, yeah, he got right to the big leagues, which is why it feels like he's been around forever. And he's only 36. I would have thought he was like 39, 40.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been great having him come off the bench for us, but I just think he needs to play every day. He's playing too well to leave him on the bench.
Yeah, and Bell can only play first if I'm right.
He can
Correct me
only
if
play
I'm
first.
wrong.
Yeah.
Like you can't have a guy who can't hit taking up a roster spot like that. Like it's not like he plays a bunch of positions. It's not like you could put him in the corner outfield even.
Yeah.
That guy is I mean, I think it's time for Josh Bell. It's almost mid-June, like it basically is mid-June. He's hitting in the low 200s.
Well, he'll be gone next year. He'll be gone either at the trade deadline or he'll be gone next year.
I think they got to DFA him. I think
I don't think they will. The way that Davey and Rizzo like talk about how like we need him like for this team to be successful. I've seen a lot of interviews. I just don't think they're going to DFA him.
This team needs to be fit. If they're waiting for Josh Bell for them to be successful, they have a prayer.
And he's like leads a book club, like, you know, like
he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of good guys, but we don't play them at first.
What would they do without the leader of the book club, Justin?
I don't know. You know, the team would be the team would be lost. All right. What are your thoughts on the rule changes for this year, or maybe the lack of rule changes? So runner on second to start the 10th inning, to start extra innings. Like yeah. I don't even know how that got through.
I hate it. I think it's stupid. I used to really like extra inning games, and now I'm like, it's just, I don't know. It's just stupid. It's just like, it's not baseball. It doesn't feel like baseball to me.
No. You know, I think Joe Torre said something interesting a few months ago. He said, like, if you want to make that rule, do it in the 12th or the 15th inning. Like, no one has a problem with 10 and 11 inning games.
Yeah.
No, like, it's just silly that, you know, bunt the runner over, hit a sac fly, and then hope that the other team can't do that. It's like, I think it's really predictable. It makes extra inning games boring to watch because it's so formulaic.
Well, I was watching the Nationals Rays game, and they're like Trey Turner was on second, or someone was on second, and Juan Soto was the first person in the extra innings, and they were just like, okay, go to first.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you know who was behind him? Josh Bell.
Josh Bell, next Babe Ruth. All right, let's actually talk about the next Babe Ruth, Shohei Ohtani. Let me get your thoughts on Shohei Ohtani as a two-way player and what he's kind of bringing to the sport right now, and I'll give you my opinion.
I mean, I think it's great for baseball. I think it's great for Japan. I think like to have just like a complete star, you know, and I mean he has 17 homers, like
yeah,
like that's insane, and he's throwing 98, 99. I mean, his velo is a little down recently, but he's still like, I was watching the game the other day and he was still ramping it up to like 98. So I mean, I think it's great. I really always am nervous just watching him. I'm like, is this gonna, you know, is he gonna get injured, because this is just unprecedented. But I think it's great for baseball. I think it's brought some hype to baseball. I mean, I had a friend come up to me who's like not a huge baseball fan. He was like, dude, I love this Ohtani guy. Like, cause it's just exciting. It's exciting for baseball. And man, like, why do the Angels suck? I don't know. Like,
the Angels are maybe the most poorly run team other than the Rockies in baseball. They are so bad at running that team. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into with them is, how long is this Ohtani thing going to last? as a two-way player, because everyone keeps saying that he's the next Babe Ruth. Well, Babe Ruth wasn't really the Babe Ruth that you'd think of.
Right.
He was a great pitcher and he was a great hitter, but he didn't do that at the same time the way people think he was.
No, it was early in his career that he pitched.
Yeah. So I actually looked up the numbers. So in 1918, Babe Ruth threw 166 innings and had 382 at-bats. And then in 1919, he had 133 innings and 432 at-bats. And those were really the only 2 years that he was kind of like even more of a full-time pitcher and a full-time hitter. Earlier in his career in the early 1910s, mid-1910s, he was just a pitcher and he would get like 20 at-bats a year. And then once he got to the Yankees, they pretty much didn't let him pitch. I think he threw like maybe 25 innings, 30 innings through the rest of his career once he got to the Yankees in 1920. So what Ohtani's doing as basically almost a full-time pitcher and a full-time hitter really hasn't happened in the history of baseball. Now, I get it that he can be a lights-out top of the rotation starter if they want him to be that, or he could be a middle-of-the-order bat. But I really think they're going to have to pick one or the other. I don't think that it's sustainable for him to be this pitcher who's going to throw 150 innings every year and get 500 at-bats a year. I think the Angels are going to have to pick one or the other. And the one thing the Angels are really good at is being incompetent. So whatever they pick, I feel like will be the wrong move. But what's your take on, like, is this sustainable for them? Should they pick one or the other? And what one should they pick?
I think it's not long term. I don't think that he's going to be pitching and hitting throughout his career. I think that it's going to be maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after that, he'll still pitch. I mean, providing he doesn't have a bad pitching injury this year, right? So I just think, no, it's not sustainable, but I do think he will be a pretty good hitter, like, throughout his years. And I think that he'll probably move to like left field or right field.
So you do. You think that they're going to make him into more of a full-time position player?
Because he has a lot of power. I mean, his exit velo is crazy, right? I mean, it's. I mean, he probably strikes out a good amount, but like,
he's a prototypical number 4 hitter, I think.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think that he'll last in the majors as a hitter, I think.
100. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I don't think that it's really sustainable to have him be a pitcher the way that they are and have him continue to get a feel for the strike zone and a feel for his mechanics and be consistent with that. The one thing that he's really struggled with is his ability to throw strikes. So he's walked, I think, like 5.5 per 9 innings. Like that, those are the kind of things that are difficult for pitchers to be able to be consistent with. And I think that if you're kind of making him an intermittent type pitcher where he's going to pitch maybe once a week and really just focus on hitting the rest of the time, I think that it's going to be a difficult thing for them to be consistent with. So I agree with you. I think that he's better suited for them to be a middle of the order bat than he is to be a consistent pitcher.
What do you think about the MVP talks for him? I mean, do you think that like it's warranted because he's doing it from both sides of the plate, or do you think it's just like too much hype?
I do. I think it's definitely overhyped.
Yeah.
All of the attention that Ohtani's getting is a little bit annoying to me because he's on a bad team. He's on a team that's going nowhere. It's like, I get it. You're going to hype up the two-way star. Like, I totally get that. But it's like, he's on a crappy team. The Angels arguably have the 2 best players in the American League, and their team sucks.
Well, that's because their ace is like Dylan Bundy.
Their ace is like no one. Like the Angels are a couple injuries away from having open tryouts. That's how bad their starting rotation is. They have not been able to pitch. They haven't had good pitching since like Jared Weaver and John Lackey consistently.
Raisel Iglesias isn't having a good year, right?
No, and he's a reliever.
Yeah, I know he's a reliever, but like, I mean, that
was a key pickup for them. That was a key pickup for them in the offseason. They're like, oh, well, we're really going to bolster our bullpen. They actually made some moves. And like, they keep just trying to like get a bunch of Dylan Bundys.
Yeah.
And it's like, Dylan Bundy's not a bad pitcher, but like when he's your ace, you're in some serious trouble.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was kind of like, after Rendon went to the Angels, I was kind of like, oh man, I always like Mike Trout. Maybe I'll be an Angels fan. It's just, it's not even, you know, that fun to root for them because they're just not, their pitching is just so bad.
Their pitching is so bad. It's almost as if they like don't realize that they need to have pitchers because they just keep acquiring really good like position players. They keep acquiring like they signed Trout to an enormous deal. Then they get Rendon. It's like, why didn't you get a pitcher instead? Like, why didn't you get Patrick Corbin? I know he's struggling this year, but like that would have been a much better allocation of funds.
He could be on his way out in the trade deadline. I mean,
he really could. I mean, the Nationals, I think, would absolutely move him at this point.
only thing is we don't really have lefties. Like,
no, the problem
kind of fulfills our lefty, quota.
He does, but he's $24 million a year. Where I think that if you could cut him loose, like you got the World Series that you needed to out of him. So,
I mean, he was so important during that World Series.
Oh, I mean, if you take one guy out of that starting rotation, they don't get past the first round. Like the Nationals in 2019 were pretty much Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin, and Anibal Sanchez. That was the whole team.
Oh, Anibal. Oh,
Anibal was just, he was like that past his prime starter who was just pitching out of his mind.
He shut out the Cardinals.
I know.
I was
like everyone was everyone was like, okay, well, Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin, like they'll shove against the Cardinals. And then Sanchez came out of there and threw like 7 innings, 2 hits. Yeah, that was incredible. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Ohtani. I really hope he plays great. I think it's really good for baseball, and baseball's definitely trying to hype him up.
Definitely.
Every time you go on MLB.com, it's Ohtani hit another home run in the Angels' loss. It's like they lost like 8-4, but Ohtani hit a home run, so that's the headline. It's like no one cares.
You have to admit, though, sucks. Those homers are pretty cool to watch. Like,
yeah,
they just
hit one 470 the other day.
Yeah,
that's a bomb. And this ball's dead. That would have been 490 last year.
Wait, we never talked about the balls.
So did you see what Pete Alonso said?
No, what
about the baseballs? So Pete Alonso said that Major League Baseball manipulates the baseball year to year, which is true. Mm-hmm. Everyone's on board with that. The ball was juiced in 2019, and it's been dead into this year. Like they came out and said it. That's been like, we know this. But he said that they deadened the ball based on the free agent class for the next year. So if there's a lot of position players, like there's a lot of shortstops, like Seager, Story, Baez, they're all going to be free agents. Bryant, Rizzo, all those guys, big name position players are going to be free agents. They deaden the baseball to try to reduce the numbers of the position players so that they get less money in free agency.
That's interesting. I mean,
that's maybe interesting, but I think Pete Alonso might walk around with tinfoil on his head.
Yeah,
like that is the most outrageous.
That seems a little far-fetched. Like,
and he said it with a straight face. Like he was being serious about that.
I think they probably deadened the balls because, I mean, I heard some of the reasons. They were like, we don't want the cheap opposite field homers that, like, we want you to like hit it, when you get a homer.
Yeah, if you hit a home run, you want to get all of it as opposed to these it was actually really annoying in 2019. 2 teams hit more than 300 home runs. No team had ever done that before. The 2009 Yankees hit like 244, and the Twins and Yankees both hit over 300 2 years ago. Like that's stupid.
But that's why this is why I'm so like, I feel like the stadium of Guerrero is like part of it. Like, I mean, he doesn't have to hit it that far, so he has 21 bombs. I mean, I know he's hitting it on the road too, so like he's just on fire right now. But like the deadened balls, I wonder if they can, because aren't they moving to Buffalo?
Yeah, I think, did they move to Buffalo already?
They're on a road trip right now, so I don't know.
Okay. I know that they were in Dunedin, Florida for the first part, because I mean you can't play in Buffalo in April.
Yeah, you can't play in Buffalo in April. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think they're moving. I think they either moved or are moving. I think it was beginning of June, so I think they might have already moved.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, 21 homers in by June 13th. It's pretty impressive.
What is that, like 60 something games, 65 games he's played, 21 home
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
So he's on pace to hit 45, right? Somewhere around there, 45, maybe 50.
I think 50.
Yeah, 50 homers. I mean, that's some serious. I think the league's going to catch up to him in the second half. Like, he's finally broken out. He had a couple like years in 19 and 20, but I think the league will catch up to him a little bit. I would be shocked if he hits 50. We can say that right now. Do you think he's going to hit 50?
No.
Okay.
Do you have like
I
a
don't think so
dark
either.
horse like that you think like could like just blow everyone out for the MVP and like lead the league in homers? That's like maybe not the top 3 right now.
Yeah. So my MVP picks it was Trout in the AL, which I don't think he's going to win it this year because he's going to miss too much time.
Yeah.
Although he was on pace.
He was
Yeah.
having his career best year.
Mhm.
So such a bummer, dude.
I think, and in the National League, and this isn't going to happen. I thought it was going to be Machado. He was kind of like my random-ish pick.
Okay.
He had a great year last year in the shortened season,
Mhm.
and there was so much hype around the Padres. I just thought that I just had a hunch on Machado. I'm going to be dead wrong. I'm going to be right about my Cy Young pick. I think DeGrom's going to win that.
Oh, really? You think DeGrom? No way.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I think DeGrom is going to win the Cy Young. But I picked that before the season. I wrote that down.
Yeah, that's honestly, I had no idea that DeGrom was even pitching.
Yeah, I didn't even know who he was. I had no idea. Did you see that? He's got like a .63 ERA or like a
It's 0.54.
0.54. That's the lowest that's like the third lowest in the history of baseball.
I mean, it looks like he's going to beat the Bob Gibson year.
Bob Gibson 1.12, yeah.
It looks like he's going to beat it. I mean, at the pace that he's going at.
No, and there's a
he's also throwing 100-mile-per-hour fastballs.
Dude, he's sitting 100.
And he's just sitting on it. Like
he's topping out at 102, 103.
Yeah, so like he has a 0.54 ERA and it makes sense because he's throwing just fastball after fastball and no one is hitting it.
Dude, he's actually unhittable and everyone's going up there trying to homer off him because that's what everybody tries to do.
I would just have everyone just go up and just like bunt.
Yeah.
And just see how that goes.
Honestly, your best chances of getting a hit are was like when a lefty comes up and they're shifting to just try to bunt the ball towards third.
I mean that start that he had in Colorado where he like gave up like a bunch of unearned runs. Guy hit a homer off him and it was unearned, but it was on the slider. I mean,
yeah.
So the fastball is just insane.
I think through like 6 starts of the season, 5 or 6 starts, he had driven in more runs than he'd given up.
And he's in my division, dude. So.
Yeah, but you have Scherzer at least, who's the second.
Maybe not for long. Maybe not for long.
They're not gonna. I don't think the owner's gonna trade him. I think that's going to be an ownership decision where they say no, we want to keep him and we're going to try to re-sign him. We want him to retire as a national.
It just depends. If we go on like a 10-game losing streak and like the Mets just like pull away from the division, then I don't.
Would you trade him? If you were going to get a top prospect back, would you trade him?
Yeah.
You would? That surprises me.
I was looking at an article about the Yankees and they were going to give up, or like they said that the price for Scherzer would have been Debbie Garcia or Jason
Dominguez.
Jason Dominguez. Yeah, one of those two. And I looked up both of them and I was like, okay, like,
I'll take him.
I'll take one of those guys.
You guys can have Gary Sanchez if you want him.
I mean,
you want a catcher that strikes out every time he's up? He's basically Josh Bell but catches. You guys can have him. You guys can have Gary Sanchez, and you guys can also have Clint Frazier because he also sucks.
No, I don't want Clint Frazier.
Clint Frazier. Apparently, and apparently this has been debunked, but it was just really funny that this came out. So Clint Frazier liked his number was number 7, and apparently he asked for number 7 when he came to the Yankees. He wanted Mickey Mantle's retired number, and then he got mad that people were saying that. Apparently, it wasn't true, but that's hysterical. If he actually came to the Yankees and wanted Mickey Mantle's number, like, dude, no one's ever heard of you before.
I remember when he was like a touted prospect.
No, he was a touted prospect, but it's like
he sucks. But
you're not gonna get. They wouldn't have given Derek Jeter his number.
Yeah.
Like, no, come on, dude. Like, do you know anything about this organization? So, Pete Alonso actually. So, like, just getting back to Pete Alonso real quick. He actually said that Major League Baseball manipulates the ball depending on what free agents are going to be there.
Yeah.
Do you think he actually thought that, or is he saying this because he wants to like gin up the public to thinking that MLB is like, this diabolical organization, and like with the whole collective bargaining agreement that's going on this year? Like, do you think that he's just trying to like gin up more distrust to get like some sort of public support in favor of the players to like, because that is the most like he's either doing that or he's the stupidest person in the world. It's one of the to me, it's one of those two things.
I think he's just one of those people who is into conspiracy theories, just one of those people. If you're out there, it's okay. I'm no judgment, little judgment, but
little judgment.
Yeah, but
so he's a tinfoil hat guy.
I think he just tinfoil hat. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. All right. So right now, let's talk foreign substances. Okay.
Ooh,
I don't know.
Sunscreen and rosin.
Yeah. Let's talk sunscreen and rosin. So what's your opinion on foreign substances? Should they be allowed? Should it just kind of be like, look, hitters, you're going to deal with it. Pitchers are going to use what they want to use, and we're not going to police it. MLB's going to police it now. But kind of like, what's your take on that? Should some stuff be legal? Should some stuff not be legal? Should there be a uniform stuff? Like, if you want to use the stuff, it's got to be this, and you can't use this.
Well, I think that there's two schools of thought with it. I think one is, the argument that it's like for the grip and for, so that like players don't get hit with the ball. But then the more real argument, in my opinion, is the fact that they're just doing it for spin rate, right? Because spin rate is the new hotness. I mean,
that's what everyone's trying.
Look at DeGrom, like
Cole, Bauer, all those guys.
Yeah, Bauer. Yeah, I mean, there was a time when Trevor Bauer was like a mediocre pitcher on the Indians.
Yeah,
and now, I mean, he's throwing
lights
real
out.
hard. Yeah, lights out now. So I don't know. I think it's okay from my perspective to use stuff. I don't want them being like, all right, you can't use any, like, it's just gonna be a naked ball, like with nothing on it. Because I do think that like that's
dangerous.
Yeah, it would just
it's like dangerous. Throwing a cue ball.
Yeah. So, but I think I would be okay if they came up with a uniform like thing for like, this is what you can use. I mean, I'm okay with sunscreen and rosin.
Right. That's what
Trevor Bauer claims is to be the sticky,
It's a sticky substance, but it's not going to like raise your spin rate 500 RPM.
Yeah.
Like it's really, I'm sure it will raise your spin rate maybe like 50 or 100 or something like that, something like small, and you're actually going to be able to grip the ball, because that's what most, like 100% of pitchers are using something.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you using? Are you literally using glue? Because like basically these guys, like some of these guys, like apparently Cole, Bauer, those kind of guys, they're using like actual, like it will like the ball will stick to their fingers when they're holding it like this. Like apparently these guys in the dugout are like pulling things off of the baseball because it's so sticky.
I feel like I've seen like a video of like someone, or I think it was John Boy, like did a video where he's like one of the fielders like looked at the ball and he's like, damn, it's like really sticky. Like,
Remember
so
that ball that stuck to, I think it was Yadier Molina's chest protector?
oh yeah.
Just stuck to him. Like
Yeah.
guys with the hats, like they're touching the brim of their hats and their
Mhm.
fingers are sticking to their hats. Like,
I'm definitely not in favor of the glue or the pine tar.
what is
Like,
it? Spider tack is the
yeah,
one.
and that stuff I don't think
Pelican
that
grip.
that's
I
yeah,
think that's another.
I don't think that those things should be allowed, but
I wish I knew about that stuff when I played. Like,
when you
I wish,
when you
yeah.
pitched,
When I pitched, like, I 100% would have used that stuff. Like, they like muddied the baseballs and stuff, and like we would do that in the dugouts and stuff. Like,
uh,
you put some because it's so slick. Like, you can't pitch with that. You got to
yeah.
have something on it. You got to have some sweat. You got to put some like you got to put something on the baseball to make it so that it doesn't slip out of your hands. But like, I would 100% have used all that kind of stuff if it
Well,
increased spin rate. But I didn't know about it, so
when
I
I
didn't do
when
it.
I pitched in Little League, I'm sure I would have been nervous about it, but I threw a palm ball, so
Spin rate was not what you were trying to.
yeah.
You weren't trying to achieve spin rate. You were trying to achieve like some sort of funky movement. You were
I had
like
a lot
digging
of
your
sink on
fingers
my
in the
pitches,
ball.
Justin. Oh,
Sink.
yeah. The palm ball. I mean, I was young Roy Halladay out there.
You're So now MLB has come out and said that um, they're going to check. I think the starting pitcher twice a game, and then they're going to check relievers once, and they're gonna eject them. Automatic ejection if they find foreign substances on there. Now, it's going to be kind of hard to police because, like what we were talking about earlier, there's a difference between using like sunscreen and rosin to get a grip on the ball, where it's not like so much about spin rate. It's more about like, hey, I just need grip so I can locate my pitches better. I'm not trying to throw these like rising fastballs at like 3,000 RPM that are basically unhittable. So, like Giovanni Gallegos the other day, he was like adamant. He's like, that is not spider tack. That is not any of this like super glue stuff. That is sunscreen and rosin. That's like standard stuff that people have been using forever. That's not for spin rate. And that's why like Mike Schilt was so pissed off about it. It's because he's like, I talked to our guys. Our guys aren't using this like, super glue stuff for the
Mhm.
baseball to like increase spin rate. We're doing it for grip. That's like like hitters are like, yeah, we're in favor of that. Like we don't want to get hit in the face. We're totally okay with that. So are these umpires going to be able to figure out like the difference? Are they going to like touch the ball or the glove or the hat and be like, oh, well, that's too sticky or something? Like there's too much goo on there. Or are they going to be like, oh, well, this is passable? Like, how do you monitor this? That's my biggest question.
And
Or
that's
is it
why
or is it like none? Is it like no, you can't use anything?
I think they're gonna do like a uniform thing where you can have this and this and this, but anything else is gonna be an ejection or
There's like approved substances that
yeah,
you can use.
because everyone's talking about it, so I think they have to address it.
Yeah, I think that the maybe a good analogy is like like a batter using pine tar batting gloves. Like you
Mm-hmm.
want them to be able to grip the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't want guys with throwing bats, but using the spider tack stuff or the pelican grip or like whatever concoctions they're like creating in these labs is like corking your bat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's cheating. Like you can't cork your bat, but you can use pine tar
Yeah,
to hit. Like I think that that's a decent analogy.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that we're kind of on the same page about that. Are there any other topics that you want to get into? Or okay, let me ask you before we wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as of right now, June 13th, what team, American League, National League, we're not at the beginning of the season anymore. We've seen a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. We're a little bit into 2021. We kind of have a sense for the season. We're not quite at the All-Star break, but are there any teams that you would confidently pick to be, okay, that's my team to go to the World Series?
The Padres.
Padres in the National League, and then who in the American League are you like, this is my team? Not necessarily that you're rooting for, but the team
Yeah,
that
the
you think is
American
going
League's a little bit
places.
more tough because I don't I'm not a huge. I don't know if I believe in the Rays. Like they would probably be my pick, but um, I I think it's going to be a little bit more wide open. I do think that the Padres are going to run away with the NL West. I think that they're better than the Giants. I think they're better than the Dodgers.
You
And
do?
I think that's my team that I think will win the World Series. Yeah.
I agree that I think the Padres are the best team in baseball. I like them better than the Dodgers, even if the Dodgers, somebody said something interesting the other day, which was the Padres have a better chance to win the World Series than they do to win their division.
That's that's fair, I think.
Over 162, I can't remember. I'd love to give credit to the person who said this, but I can't remember who said it. Over 162, I think the Dodgers are just a deeper team. They're going to win more games. But the Padres have that spark that the Dodgers had last year. It's so hard in Major League Baseball to win back to back. It hasn't been done since the 98, 99, 2000 Yankees, and it hasn't been done in the National League since the 1975-76 Cincinnati Reds. The Big Red Machine was the last team that repeated in the National League in Major League Baseball. It is so hard to do because you lose that desire to win at all costs. You just lose it. And that's coming from players who have won World Series. And, you look at the Cubs. The Cubs didn't repeat. They were supposed to win at least 2 World Series with that team. The Red Sox steamrolled through 2018, and they basically brought back the same team. I think they won 84 games the next year. So, I don't care how many games the Dodgers win this year. I won't believe that they're going to win until they get the 27th out in the clinching game of the World Series. I totally agree. I think the Padres are my National League team. The American League,
I'll throw in the White Sox also for the American League.
yeah, I agree with you. The American League is much, much more difficult to nail a team down. I hate the Rays, and I never want to pick them.
Dude, their pitching staff is so good. Like their bullpen.
They're all going to get hurt.
We were playing them, and every single person out of the bullpen was just like insanely good. Like this
I
guy
absolutely can't
Kittredge,
stand them. Kittredge, yeah, he's annoying.
dude.
He's the one that threw at Austin Romine a few years ago. I don't like him.
I was like, no one is gonna hit off this guy. Like he was just like, I think we got one hit off him, but like, man, all their pen arms are just insanely good.
I hate the Rays because I'm a Yankee fan, and the Yankees subsidize the Rays' existence in this league. We just pay for them to be able to play us, and they still beat us. I hate them so much. Like I hate the Astros and Red Sox way more.
Yeah, I hate the Astros.
Everyone hates the Astros.
I hated the Red Sox as a youngin, but now I'm okay with the Red Sox.
Well, it's because you're not a Yankee fan anymore.
True.
You went over and you became a Nationals fan. Now you don't care about that rivalry anymore.
Who won the 2019 World Series though?
The Nats did. I was rooting for them.
I know.
I'm glad
that you were. I feel like a lot of people were rooting for the Nats that year. I mean, we were a fun team.
Yeah, you guys were a really fun team, and I think anybody that wasn't an Astros fan was rooting for the Nationals because no one liked the Astros.
That was even before the scandal.
That was before the scandal. That was like when it was only kind of like rumors and stuff, and like really like players really kind of just knew about it.
Yeah.
That was before the scandal, but nobody likes their team. They're all a bunch of jerks.
Yeah.
I hated them.
Yeah.
Bregman's a jerk. Everyone loved Altuve. Now everyone hates Altuve. I love it. I hate Altuve so much. These guys, yeah, but going back to it, I'll never pick the Rays to win anything. Even if I think that they're going to win, I just can't bring myself to pick them because I hate them. I'm still going to pick the Yankees just because I'm a homer.
That's unrealistic, though.
Yeah, you know what? I understand that. And I think that the Yankees team right now is basically unwatchable. I mean, really, other than like LeMahieu's having a bad year, he was fun to watch. Now he's not hitting well. You think he's like hitting 260. Judge is a good hitter. You want to watch Garrett Cole pitch. Some of the other guys are interesting to watch. I think Montgomery's a fun pitcher to watch, even though he's not like an ace or anything. but the Yankees are just unwatchable. They can't hit. They strike out. They're not great on the base paths. They not a great defensive team. They've got Gleyber Torres at shortstop. Not to just pick on him, but I mean he's had a complete power outage this year. Supposed to be like a game-changing player. He's basically just been league average this year. The Yankees are like I can't even watch. I don't even watch the games. I do not watch Yankee games this year. I just listen to it on the radio, like in the background.
Is that really different though? You've always been a big Sterling fan.
That's true. No, I've always been a guy who listens to more games than he watches.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just brutally bad this year. Brutal to watch. Even though they're not like under 500 or anything, they're still definitely very much in the race. But I cannot watch them.
See, I'm still watching every Nats game, even though they blow.
That's a true fan.
Yeah.
You're a diehard Nationals fan. And this is kind of what I want. This is, I think, what we should wrap up with.
Yeah.
Is I think 2019 was like the first year where like you actually had real Nationals fans. Like the Nationals fan base became legitimate in 2019.
I don't know. Bryce Harper was pretty big.
You guys all hate him though.
Yeah, we
you
hate
guys
him now.
Act like he killed somebody.
We all hate him now, but like,
the way people talk about Bryce Harper.
Back in his heyday, also we were going to the playoffs like every year from like 2012 to like 2017. Like we were like going to the playoffs like I don't know, like 4 or 5 out of those years. Like I mean, we were an exciting team.
Yeah, I mean you were, and then Harper went to the Phillies, and then everyone he was like dead to everyone that he would leave them.
We offered him like a really good contract, and he turned it down.
Yeah, and he's gonna go for the money. He's gonna go where I do not blame Harper for leaving. Everyone on every Nationals fan acted like he was like did something like terrible to the city and was like a criminal or something. I was like, the guy just went to a division
rival.
Yeah, they offered him more money.
He went to a division rival.
So what?
So go to the AL or something.
They didn't offer him as much money. The Phillies offered him more money.
I mean,
I don't blame him.
We reportedly offered him 300. So
yeah, over with
and he turned it down like early on
with $100 million deferrals.
But he turned it on he turned it down like right away, like when we offered him 300, and that was like early in the process because he wasn't trying to stay. Like
I think he would have stayed if you gave him. Okay, so he got 13 years, 330 from the Phillies. If you guys offered him 13 years, 340, he'd be a National.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean,
the Phillies offered him more money.
Yeah, but I'm just hoping that we lock down Soto and Turner, because
at least one of them. If I was you guys, I'd lock down Soto. I think he's going to be the best.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a better player. Even I think Turner's an MVP caliber player. Like I think he's amazing.
I mean, he's the best shortstop in the NL other than Tatis.
He's probably the second best shortstop in baseball. Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's better than Lindor.
Yes, he is better than Lindor.
I mean, at this point, you and me are better than Lindor. But
he had a homer the other night.
Oh, good for him. Was that his first?
6.
6. This is his 6th home run. That's brutal. He can't. Yeah, I like Lindor. I really hope he plays well. But that contract looks terrible right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough ballpark to play in. Like, he was playing in Cleveland, now he's in Flushing, right? Isn't that where?
Yeah, he's in Citi Field in Queens, Flushing, Queens.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tougher place to play in. It's a tougher. The NL East has some good pitching,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
All right. Well, we're running out of time here.
Yeah.
So glad you were able to debut on the podcast. This was a lot of fun. We got into
it was a lot of fun, Justin.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime soon. Talk to you later.